Ooh, there's the start cue, recording in progress. All right, we are going to get started here. We've got a little bit on the agenda. We've got a couple people who need to get out, present and get out as soon as possible because of other meetings. So we are going to dive right in. Welcome. As always, please enter your questions into the chat. If you're attending in person, please raise your hand to speak so we can provide the mic, because it is in person and hybrid. Please note interruptions, and then, as always, please behave with common courtesy. Today's agenda, we have the treasurer's report, a call for nominations, award updates, maybe some updates from the infrastructure and development committees. We have Officer Walker here with the crime and safety report. Our special guest is from WEPOWER. They will be talking about community benefit agreements. And then we'll also just end on a final call for 2023 nominations. To start, we're going to mix up the agenda a little bit. We'll start with the award update and get into the crime and safety report to let our guest speakers present and get out so they can be on time for the next meeting. All right.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. And I'm going to give ward updates and some city updates. And if anybody doesn't know me online, because I don't know who's all online, I'm Tina Peel, and I'm the Alderwoman for the 17th Ward. I'm going to start with public safety. The police search is happening, and it's expected that the police chief will be, the search will be completed by the end of the year. Also, in terms of public safety and the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, right now there has been an uptick on homicides, but the violent crimes have been down, and the property crimes have been up, and they've been up about 1,000%, and that's because of the thefts of the Kias and Hyundais. And it's taken a lot of resources from the police in terms of trying to, mitigate those circumstances. The city councilor actually has contacted the auto companies to see what we can do in terms of not having as much theft of those two vehicles that are easy to steal. The Office of Violence Prevention, it's a new office that is going to be in the Public Health Department with Dr. Mahdi, and it just opened. The director just started a few weeks ago. And so we're excited about that in terms of, again, helping mitigate safety issues here in the city of St. Louis. Regarding traffic and the streets, the mayor is going to start holding meetings on the north and south side of Del Mar to get input from residents regarding the safety concerns on the streets. They haven't started yet, but they will. And there also has been increased enforcement by the police department in terms of the high crash areas. They're sitting there by the high crash areas more often. We're also exploring ways in which we could use ARPA funds in terms of mitigating public safety and do some long and short-term solutions with ARPA funds. Right now, the 17th Ward Kings Highway study, we're still looking for a consultant. And so once the consultant is chosen and the agreement is signed, we're going to have community meetings regarding the Kings Highway study. That's going to go from Lindell all the way to 44. Regarding the refuse department and refuse, I took actually a run with the refuse department a couple weeks ago, and it was really enlightening to see what they have to do every day. They are heroes and sheroes. The bulk pickup, I went on the bulk pickup run, and the physical work in terms of getting that the garbage into the trucks is just amazingly strenuous. One of the biggest problems in terms of, or how strenuous being a refuse driver is actually getting in and out of those trucks. The steps are really high, and it's really hard on the back and the body. So regarding refuse, we have 45 routes a day here, and there are only 37 workers that we have employed at this point in time. So that is one of the biggest issues we have, is that we don't have enough employees, as everybody knows. We're still doing job fairs, and we're also still doing the $3,000 hiring incentive. So we're still working on that. And then another problem we have with in terms of refuse workers is that most of them are getting about $5 per hour less than other Midwest cities that we have researched. So that's a significant decrease in terms of their salary. And if they went to waste management, they'd be getting a bump at least $5 or $7 or more an hour. So that's a difficulty too. And then the personnel director, the city's personnel director, sometime this month, it should be announced. There are 3 candidates right now, and the personnel director should be announced sometime this month. And the last thing I'm going to go to is development. The first one is the Armory. Some of you might know about the Armory getting a TIF. They got a $4.6 million TIF was approved. I was a no vote on that because it didn't have any public benefit or community benefit agreements in the board bill or separately. There were 4 no votes and 4 present votes, and that's amazing. Usually TIFs and tax incentives, the alder vote, I think like 80% the same. But what happened, because there were 4 no votes and 4 present votes, it had put pressure onto Alderwoman Davis, who was the one who sponsored the bill, to actually put it onto the informal calendar last week, I'm sorry. And what that means is it didn't go through all the way. We didn't talk about it for the 3rd reading. And it was put on the informal calendar so that there are going to be more negotiations regarding getting SLPS, the $470,000 equitable development contribution. So one of the things, again, when I had a no vote, it was because that was not in a board bill or agreement. And we spoke up as alder people, like, we want to have this done now and not have it wait. And so there should be some good things happening in the next few days regarding getting a community benefits agreement. So I'm happy for that. Lastly is Cortex. So those negotiations are finalizing, and we're going to have 17 units, efficiency apartments and 1-bedrooms that are going to go to individuals who are earning 60% adjusted median income. We started at 80%, and I was able to get it lower to 60%. So that's a big win in terms of the affordability. Also, there's going to be a $250,000 infusion into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund with this Cortex TIF. And then finally, I'm working with the city on a nexus study to standardize the processes in which we are looking for equitable development contributions. And nexus studies are used all over the United States and cities to standardize the process in terms of that. So that's another win. What I'm going to focus on next regarding development is we really don't have that strong regulatory processes in place at this point in time. And the Nexus study is going to help legislate some more standards, and it will help the city in terms of recouping the taxes immediately regarding tax incentives. So that'll be a win too. And then finally, I passed out, and it's also on the screen. Next Monday, October 24th, from 6:30 to 8, I am working with the American Federation of Teachers and myself. We're bringing in a national TIF expert, tax incentive expert from Washington, D.C. His name is Greg Leroy. He's the founder of Good Jobs First, and he has been researching tax incentives and how they are used or misused in cities all over the country. And so he's going to be coming in. They're going to be elected officials like myself. Megan Green's going to be there, Alderwoman. And we're going to have an open discussion regarding the pros and cons of TIFs and tax abatement. And we also will want to get your feedback. This is going to be at Adams Elementary School, so it will be here in the neighborhood. That's all I have for updates. If anybody has a question or two, I could answer that. Okay. I just want to remind everybody, you go to my website. I have a lot of resources on my website, and the award meetings are posted, events are posted, bill tracking, and also you could also look at public safety issues on the website. So thank you and have a great evening.
All right, folks. Unfortunately, we're going to have to stop the meeting at this time and not be able to proceed. Unfortunately, we need to have everyone in the audience here in person needs to have their proof of vaccination. If they don't, they can attend online, but we cannot proceed without it. We can lose the venue if we don't have everyone abiding by that standard. So we're going to have to hold the meeting at this time until everyone here has proof of vaccination. These are rules that are put in place by Missouri Foundation for Health, who lets us use this building.
Listen, you cannot discriminate against us because of the pandemic. Well, I'm here as a neighbor. I've been here 25 years. I just want to be at the meeting. I'm at the meeting now. Listen, if you're not getting already, what's the problem? Are you making sure? Who's afraid? If everyone here is vaccinated, everyone here is vaccinated. Listen, if everyone's here is vaccinated, you guys are safe. So why are you doing that? Well, why would you have someplace where I couldn't get in? Why would you do that? Dude, I'm an American. I've been here longer than you. Hey, I've been here longer than you. Let's point out the people I've been longer than you. And you've been here longer than them. Uh-oh, longer than her too. Phil Hagley is the only one that was here. Hey. Well, whatever you gotta do, man. I am an American. I came to the meeting. You guys invited everyone.
We're going to pause the meeting for 10 minutes.
So what is wrong? What's wrong?
And resume online only.
To be safe for the pandemic. The pandemic's over.
Sorry about that, folks. I know Officer Walker has her updates to go through. She is currently out of the room right now. She may be back. At this time, we will, for the sake of time, go through the treasurer's report and then go through 2023 nominations for the board. I want to turn over to Cami here.
Hello, this is Cami Lewis Holiday. Last month in September, the only expenses we had were $14.99 for Zoom and $63.71 for ICE for the National Night Out. So we have $2,181.53 currently. And if you want to join the neighborhood association, you can, we have a sliding scale, so you can pay what you can. Members get voting privileges. You can either pay with Cash App or by cash or check. You can approach me after the meeting or shoot an email to Forest Park Southeast at Gmail for more information.
Perfection. I will note here that we removed Rachel from the account and added Cami to it. That is just a move that is required to formally have Cami added to the Simmons Bank account for her treasurer duties. Any questions on the treasurer's report? Yes. At this time, we'll also take nominations for the 2023 board. You must be present to nominate yourself or have submitted a written statement to the board on your self-nomination. If you'd like to nominate another person, that person must also be in the room at the time of the nomination. Nominations are due by the end of the night. They are on a one-year term. The positions available are all of them, as they are every year: president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and member at large. At this time, we will take any nominations or any written statements of nominations. If you would like to nominate yourself, please raise your hand. I can pass the mic over to you so you can state your name and any position that you want to nominate yourself for. Bring it over to Sarah over here.
My name is Sarah Kogan, and I'm nominating for member at large.
Hello, my name is Cami Lewis Holiday, and I'm nominating for treasurer.
My name is Dan, and I will nominate myself for another term as president. We did receive a written statement from Mark Mangapora, who is not present tonight, but sent a statement to the board saying he will nominate himself for secretary.
And I'm Aaron Bish. If you can hear me, I'm on the line, but also submitted a written statement for a self-nomination for the vice president role.
If you're online, you can also, you don't have to, I guess online is technically in person as well. You can also nominate yourself if you're online. You don't have to provide a written statement, but yes, your nomination is seen and heard, Aaron. Is there anyone else who would like to nominate themselves for a board position? We'll take some nominations at the end as well, if you want to think about it. Noodle on it. Sure, if you want to.
In case anyone's interested, this year or pondering in anticipation of future years, each position, I'm just going to give a quick description. The president is the main leader of the organization, handles organizing the meetings, inviting speakers. It's a very many hats type of job. The vice president supports the president in that role and serves as president if the president cannot. The treasurer handles our accounts and tracks our money expenditures. Secretary takes notes for the meetings, and member at large just helps out with various projects as needed. So if you're interested, you can have until the end of the night to submit an application or a nomination. Or if you want to think about it for next year, please talk to us.
Hello, everyone. I'm Officer Walker, St. Louis City PD, Second District. I am the neighborhood liaison officer for Forest Park, Shaw, Tiffany Botanical, and Tava Grove South. With me tonight, I brought some flyers. It's just some weekly flyers that we hand out to the residents or email out to the residents every week. It's just some tips for everyone to look over, read over, try to provide some little safety tips. The biggest issue that I want to speak on will be the Cadillac converted thefts and the stealing of the Kias and the Hondas. We are encouraging everyone to get a car club. If you don't have one, you can get those car clubs from the 5-Star Center, the DMV, and also City Hall. We encourage you to do that unless you can get the anti-theft device put on your vehicle from your dealership or your mechanic. Also with the Cadillac converters, those are also still being stolen. They do have some type of device, locking device for Cadillac converters that you can have put on your car. They run somewhere between $150 to $200 to purchase. I might have just heard that the cost of them installing it could be a little pricey, up to about $1,000, but that's something that you may want to also think about. Thirdly, firearms. We have another issue in the district, basically around the business areas where everyone goes out clubbing and restaurant eating. The issue is a lot of people are leaving their weapons in their cars unsecured. And while you're out eating and partying, the crooks are out stealing the guns out of your car. So we are also encouraging people to buy gun locks or gun safes for your vehicles and have those installed in your car. This way you can lock your gun inside your vehicle without it getting stolen. And if you get a gun box also, to have that box bolted down inside your car. So if they do, try to steal your car, break in your car, this is one less thing they can get into. With that, we are summoning people who leave their firearms inside their car. So if your car happens to get broken into and you had your firearm in there, you can be cited for failing to secure a firearm. Leaving it in your car under your seat in your gun box, that's not securing your firearm. So the best thing is to lock it up or leave it at home. If anyone has any questions, I want to make it short. You can always call me at 444-0100, or you can also email me at ncwalker@slmpd.org. Again, that's ncwalker@slmpd.org. And I can answer any questions you may have. Right now, email is possibly the best way to get in contact with us right now because our building is under construction. So none of us are basically sitting at our office phone lines right now. And it could be a couple of more months before we're all situated back in our offices. So the best bet is email with me. When I'm working and I'm out on the street, I do keep my email open in my car. So I try to respond back as quickly as possible if I can. But if you don't hear back from me, I'm either, busy or I'm possibly offering training or doing something, but I typically kind of respond back in a timely manner if you have anything going on for me. Again, if you have any questions, you need to follow up on anything, want to know what's going on with your case, reach out to me and I can try to get you that information, get that information to you and find out what's going on with your case. Because again, the detectives, they are kind of all over the place also, so they don't have a phone. So it may take a minute for you to get in contact with them also. If you're calling the station and they don't follow up with you, just give me a call again and I'll see what I can do for you. If you have any questions, you can type them in or again, send me an email or give me a call.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for Officer Walker before she takes off? No? All right. Do buy a car club. I bought one at the Arsenal 5-star for $15, and I'm sure it has prevented my Kia from being stolen. So great offer.
Yes, they do have those car clubs back in stock. They actually had ran out and thought they weren't gonna get any back in until next year, but I was told today they do have them. They're open from 8 to 2, Monday through Friday. And again, if you can't get with them, you can also with the DMV or City Hall to get those.
Awesome. Highly recommend. Cool. Thank you so much. We are going to jump into some infrastructure and development committee updates, if there are any. We'll lead with infrastructure. Yeah. All right.
Hello, this is Cami Lewis Holiday again. Some infrastructure updates. First of all, we are having regular meetings on the fourth Tuesday of each month at 5:30 at Remedy Church at the corner of Vista and Norfolk. We are still looking for people to apply to the committee. You can follow the link on the screen or go to, I think Sweet Tea's website has it. And if you have any infrastructure related comments or questions, you can email us at fpseinfrastructure@gmail.com. A couple of weeks ago, we were lucky enough to for Shodo Park to be chosen as the planting grounds for the tree keepers class. We planted 10 15-gallon trees. I think it was Kentucky coffee trees and some red oaks. So we've got more trees in the park. And we also have 6 more that are available to be planted by the neighborhood if we want to schedule when to do that. I don't, if we have feedback. I will be out of town the next, I'll be available this weekend, but the next 2 weekends. So I think November 12th is the first time that I would be available if we want to set that up. And I might, yeah, so look out for some emails about tree planting in Shodo Park. Next week's infrastructure meeting will be, we have invited Ron Coleman to join us for a conversation about his role and how we can work together with him. So join us then.
Ooh, loud. Aaron, are there any development review committee updates that you would like to talk about?
Hey, Dan, thanks. Yeah, can you hear me? Cool. No updates. Likewise, we have established regular meeting times listed up here. We follow that infrastructure committee conveniently. So if you're interested, you could just stay after that infrastructure committee and join us for the development committee. We don't have any developments that have applied for review for the month of October, so we won't be having any presentations. We did have a developer reach out who owns some property on the 4200 block of Shodo with no plans, just wanted to sort of touch base with the committee and talk through the process. So we've invited him to chat with the committee this month, but we don't have any developments to review. Notably, there's some development work that is going in front of the preservation board at the 4500 block of Manchester. There's a couple vacant buildings on the south side of Manchester there, and we have not reviewed that. So we haven't offered any support or not support to the alderperson and haven't seen anything on those developments. And that's all we have. So we would just, again, invite anybody to attend the sort of first part of our meeting if you're interested. We'll meet next week. Thanks, Dan. Hey, Dan, you're on mute.
Hi, this is Cami Lewis Holiday again. I meant to give a shout out to the tree keepers class. It is free through Forest Relief. They hold it in the fall and the spring. I took it this past fall. It's 6 weeks, 2 hours each week. It's amazing, life-changing. I loved it. I highly recommend you learn about. They have such enthusiastic speakers, and you learn about soil health, tree biology, you do a tree walk, plant trees. It's just really great. You can learn more about trees, and then you are required to become an official tree keeper. You have to complete a certain amount of volunteer hours, and an opportunity for that, regardless if you take tree keepers, is to get involved with a new organization called St. Louis Tree LC. They recently started, it's like community foresters. They get together with a certified arborist who gives you some instructions on pruning. You prune some street trees or trees in a public park to sort of supplement the parks forest or the forestry department to help our trees look better. And I think I sent Aaron links so he can put that in the chat. But you can also just Google forestry leaf tree keepers or STL Tree LC.
Love the words on play on words there. Any questions for the infrastructure committee or the development committee before we move on to our guest speaker tonight? I'm going to take that as a no. All right. At this time, I'm going to let, we have WEPOWER here talking about community benefit agreements. I'm going to turn it over to them to introduce themselves, and then I will make them the co-host. I'll make you the co-host, and you can present your slides. Let me do that. I will unmute myself and turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Coral, and I'm the Economic Justice Organizer from WEPOWER. Thank y'all so much for allowing me the space to come and talk to y'all today. I'm going to be talking a little bit about our economic justice campaign, which is focused on community benefits agreements. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly. Awesome. Sorry. Okay, I'll just use the PowerPoint slide that you have. I'm sorry, my screen sharing is not happening for me right now.
Got it. Cool. I will pull that back up, and
Thank
when
you
you
so
tell me
much.
to, and when you tell me to change the slide, I will change the slide.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You can skip down to goals for today.
Here we go.
Awesome. So ultimately, I'm here to build power. And usually how we build power at WEPOWER is by connecting with folks in our communities. That's where the origin of the name came from, WEPOWER. We're better together, we're stronger together. And so hopefully after this presentation, we're able to connect and collaborate to make St. Louis the place that we want it to be. Second is to understand community benefits agreements. I love that Alderwoman Tina kind of introduced the concept a little bit earlier. So there was a little bit of foreshadowing there. So hopefully I won't have to dive in too deep. And lastly, the last goal is to understand and commit to calls to action to progress the work on the campaign. If you feel so inclined to join this work with us, we would love to have you and connect with you and build power. All right. So a little bit about WEPOWER. We are a local nonprofit focused on solving the region's biggest systemic challenges. Our goal is to activate community power, people power, in order to redesign systems such as the education system, economic system, health system, justice system, in order for them to be equitable and just for all populations. We want to imagine a world where Black people and Latinx people and all people are thriving and able to have all the tools we need to succeed. The way that we go about that is we build authentic relationships with everyday people. We activate organizers, systems designers, and public leaders. We accelerate community-owned wealth generation. So we also have another component of our organization that works with entrepreneurs, to accelerate their businesses. And we also tell human-centered stories that shift beliefs and behaviors. We're big believers in the fact that storytelling can change narratives and shift to power. So the challenge we're facing specifically here in St. Louis City and East St. Louis is that since the 50s, the St. Louis City population has been declining, specifically in the Black population and the number of families with school-age children. Also, more than half of East St. Louis households live beneath a income line of $25,000 a year or less. Actually, the median income in East St. Louis is about $11,000 to $12,000 a year. And we're also fighting against regional segregation. It's no secret that St. Louis is very segregated, with the North City being disproportionately Black and low income, and majority of our South City being white with a poverty rate of 20%. So the goal of the coalition is to activate community members to basically advocate for community benefits agreements ordinances that provide opportunities such as increased quality, accessible jobs, and acceleration of generational wealth building opportunities for particularly vulnerable populations such as Black and Latinx folks. Our goal with the coalition is to pass a community benefits agreement ordinance that is citywide in both St. Louis City and a separate one in East St. Louis. We want that community benefits agreement to focus specifically on local hiring and first source hiring programs, or launching a workforce development fund as one of the top priorities of these contracts. Our next coalition meeting, which I extend an invite to everyone to join, is going to be on Saturday, October 29th at 11:30 a.m. until 1 p.m. It's going to be at the Cortex CIC building, and we will have brunch and childcare provided. Even though we are launching this economic justice campaign, hopefully at the top of 2023, we do want to acknowledge that there has been a history and a lot of talk behind community benefits agreements in St. Louis. To name a few, Alderwoman Megan Green held efforts around 2017 with Equitable St. Louis, another organization that was focused on community benefits agreements. Also, WEPOWER's based in East St. Louis surfaced a need for better accessible jobs. And so from that, we developed a base in East St. Louis that developed our policy toolkit for community benefits agreements that we use today. The reason why we chose community benefits agreements, and by we actually mean our community members, because it was a cohort of community members that came up with this solution and decided that that was what WEPOWER should focus on as an economic justice campaign. But ultimately, their reasoning was that companies and developers come to St. Louis all of the time, but there's not really a way to hold them accountable for the revitalization of our communities, or hold them accountable for reinvesting in the communities that they're building in. So ultimately, the goal is to negotiate community benefits with developers and that seek incentives and support from St. Louis and East St. Louis taxpayers. We're paying the tax money we deserve to see these benefits in our communities. To clarify what community benefits agreements are, because I know I've mentioned that a couple of times throughout, they are legally binding contracts between developers and community-based organizations, and they're used to secure commitments from those private developers, basically to say what they're going to be contributing to that community and the residents in which, in the neighborhoods in which they're building. So that can look like living wage ordinances, that can look like a local workforce development, local hiring, community investments such as affordable housing. It can also look like green spaces, improved transportation, development of early childhood centers, or contribution to early childhood centers or local schools. It can look a variety of ways. Ultimately, it's between the developer and those residents to secure those contracts and decide what those benefits will be. So ultimately, those individual contracts are the long-term goal, but we want to establish a citywide ordinance that puts into law that it is a requirement to have a community benefits agreement if you are a development over a certain financial size. And we're also, sorry, next slide. We also have a rough draft of a strategy timeline. The campaign is really at its beginnings. And so we're using this time with our coalition and our community members. And that is also why I'm here today, to seek out your input and also connect one-on-one with community members in this particular neighborhood to hear what y'all have to say and what contributions or what questions are arising when you think of community benefits agreements. This is a loose timeline of what we're planning to do between now and December to get ready for 2023 launch. We're doing neighborhood meetings, teach-ins, letter writing campaigns. We're meeting one-on-one with community members, which I would love to meet one-on-one with folks here. And eventually we're trying to lead up until that campaign launch and having our narrative and our launch finalized and having our coalition be a strong base of very diverse community members and organizations. And we're not reinventing the wheel. CBAs have been around in our country, I wouldn't say for like officially as titled as CBAs for too long, but they've definitely existed. Our most recent example that we're working very closely with is a CBA in Nashville, in which they had a MLS soccer stadium being built in their city. And they gave the richest man in Nashville $275 million to build that stadium. And the people in there were like, no, you have to give us something back. So they made sure that 20% of all housing units built at the development site were set aside as affordable housing. They also made sure that they implemented a targeted hiring program that connected staff with individuals with barriers to employment. And they also made sure that the pay for those jobs were $15.50 an hour. They also made sure that the developer invested 400 square feet for a childcare facility operating on a sliding scale. So these were just some examples of the benefits Nashville was able to get through this community benefits agreement. And we're going to skip to questions. Any questions for me?
Yeah, we have one question here.
Absolutely.
Hi, my name is Michael, neighborhood resident. I am wondering how community benefit agreements are enforced. One thing that I think is often a challenge is when a developer doesn't uphold their end of the bargain. And community organizations, like thinking specifically of ours, don't exactly have the money to hire a lawyer or something to go after that developer. So how are these typically enforced?
That's a great question. So ideally, the ordinance goes into law. So it is passed as something that is held by law. But as for like what specifically holds developers accountable is a question that we're ourselves trying to answer currently. So we are working right now to host research actions with subject matter experts in urban planning and economic development or folks who work in development. So we're really just trying to get as much information as possible as to what accountability would look like, because an ordinance that says amazing things but has no form of accountability is just going to fall through the cracks like so many other policies have. So we're actually going to be discussing that in our next coalition meeting. We have a ordinance draft that we gave to our coalition members, and their homework for our next meeting was to read that ordinance and come up with questions and feedback as to how to improve that policy, to make sure that it's strong and it stands for beyond any elected leader's time in office.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it looks like we have. Could you clarify where that October 29th meeting is going to be?
Yes, it's going to be at the CIC on Sarah Street.
Trying to find that slide. Thank you.
In a few lines, just discuss your organization plan over say the first 36 months or 3 to 5 months.
The question is, can you describe your organization's plan over the next 3 to 5 years?
Ooh,
The launching pad, where you expect to be in 3 to 5 years and how you're going to get there.
specifically for this campaign? Or
Yeah.
overall organization wide?
Let's. This campaign? Yeah.
Okay, within 3 to 5 years, hopefully, we've had the ordinance either completely passed through local government, or on its way to being there. And we're starting to facilitate those contract developments between developers and community members. And the ordinance will hopefully have language as to what makes up an ideal community committee that decides on these contracts. It will also have language as to like who is the what entity facilitates, you know, the creation of these contracts. So hopefully that language and all of that policy will be clarified and put into place by then. And we're able to move forward with actually developing those contracts with developers coming into the city as they're in their beginning stages. Because one of the things that, you know, we want to be wary of is entering into a CBA in a developer's like 9th or 10th stage of building is not going to be ideal. So we want to make sure that we're building contracts as early on as possible in the development stages, and really getting those benefits for the local community members. So hopefully we'll just be in a facilitation phase of just making sure the ordinance is upheld. Yes, we do have a draft ordinance that I can share. Dan, would you mind if I send a follow-up email that can be forwarded to everyone in the meeting?
Yeah, I can absolutely share around anything you plan to share with us to the rest of the general membership.
Awesome.
Totally.
And if anybody is not on the listserv for the neighborhood meeting, feel free to drop your email, and I'll be happy to follow up with an email as well individually.
Cool.
Awesome.
Any other questions from the chat or here in person? No questions in person. No questions in the chat. All right. Yeah, send us the draft of some agreements or examples that you have. Happy to share those with the minutes from this meeting and this presentation as well with everyone who is here or wasn't able to make it tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so
Cool.
much.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Take care. All right. With that, let me jump into that. About does it for get out of here. Go. Sorry. There we go. All right. Whoa. We'll do a final call for 2023 board nominations. If you weren't here at the beginning of the meeting, nominations are for member at large, with the one nominee for that is Sarah. We have for treasurer, Cami, for secretary, Mark Mingapora, for vice president, Aaron Bish, and for president, Dan Doling, myself. Yes. Dan Scott did not provide any position he wanted to be nominated for, so his nomination doesn't apply. But if he sends me a text here in a minute before we wrap up the meeting, his nomination would count. At the moment, all 5 positions have at least one nominee. But that does not stop anyone from nominating themselves and having a contested vote next month. That being said, on the meeting with what's next, Election Day, November 8th, and then our next meeting is November 15th. Dan with a typo. And the preservation board meeting is when? Monday. This Monday. How can somebody attend the preservation board meeting if they would like to? It's on Zoom. We can provide a link to that, right? We can, yes. If you would like. On the preservation board agenda is 2 demos along Papin, demos along the 4500 block of Manchester. If you would like to make, what's that? And the church at the corner of Tower Grove and Shoto. There's a lot happening in the neighborhood right now. If you would like to submit a comment to the preservation board on whether you support or oppose the demolition of those buildings, you can provide your written comment to them. Maybe, oh, look at that. Aaron's already done it. Aaron has dropped in the notes here or in the chat section, the agenda, which contains the what? The Zoom link. So you can use that link, or you can go to the St. Louis mo.gov page and look for it there under their meetings tab. That said, any other questions, comments, remarks, hate mail, love, support? All right. Yeah.
I just know today saw the proposal.
Do you want the mic? Might be helpful. Sure. Yeah, you get the mic.
All right. I'll speak into the mic. So those following Tim Howell, 4500 Wichita. I guess my short line is it kind of a decision point about 4500 Manchester. Those houses have sat dilapidated for quite some time now. And we need to make a decision quite swiftly. Are we going to unfortunately demo those houses, or are we going to build the development that a lot of us have seen images on Facebook late today. So that is an entrance to the neighborhood. So we need to have something clean and crisp at that site, rather than continuation of what we've seen along Oakland and Kings Highway. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments here or thoughts before we part ways and say our goodbyes? Cool. Thank you everyone for attending tonight. If you ever have any questions, you can reach out to forestparksoutheast@gmail.com. If you'd ever like to help out outside of the board, we're always looking for helpful hands for events or sponsorship opportunities and so on. Or if you have ideas about tree planting, we might do a tree planting event here in the next couple months. More information about that. Yeah. Sounds like fun. Let's do it. All right. With that being said, bye-bye.